Betrayal at center ice, my husband's friend. My friend's husband. And a hockey game from hell. I never thought a casual night at a hockey game could unravel my entire life. But that's exactly what happened. It started innocently enough. A last-minute change of plans. A few beers. And then boom, a nuclear bomb of betrayal detonated right before my eyes, leaving me picking up the radioactive fallout of lies and deceit. What unfolded that night, and in the days that followed, was more shocking than any slap shot I've ever seen. Buckle up, because you won't believe the story. A couple of days ago, I went out to a hockey game with Janelle, a friend of mine, and Scott, my boyfriend's friend. Originally, my boyfriend, Greg, was supposed to come, but he got called into work to cover a night shift. So it was me, Scott, and his wife, and Janelle and her husband. Remember that. It's important. We went out for dinner before the game to get some wings and a few beers, because the prices at the arena are criminally insane. We all got a little tipsy. And when we got to the game, I started noticing something off. Scott and Janelle were getting a little too close for comfort. She was laughing a little too enthusiastically at his jokes, and he was getting a little too handsy. And she wasn't exactly pushing him away. I tried to ignore it, chalking it up to too much beer. But there was a nagging feeling twisting in my gut. After the game, they suggested grabbing more drinks. I was tired from a long work week. But honestly, I didn't trust them alone together. I had this gross, unsettling feeling that something was deeply wrong. I reluctantly agreed to just one, hoping I was completely overreacting. And then we'd head home. We went to a bar across the street from the arena, but instead of just one drink, they proceeded to practically make out with their eyes across the table. I was beyond pissed at this point, exhausted and practically sober, feeling like the ultimate third wheel. They were so into each other it was disgusting, and I was starting to feel physically ill. I discreetly requested an Uber. Desperate to escape the awkwardness, I tried to subtly remind them of their significant others and kids, casually asking, "How's so-and-so doing?" Or mentioning, "It was so-and-so's birthday last month. What did you get up to?" At the same time, I was frantically texting Greg everything I was witnessing. But because of his job, he couldn't access his phone until a designated break. So I knew he wouldn't respond right away. Whatever. The Uber arrived, and I bolted without even saying goodbye. Back at home, I couldn't sleep. Their families were all I could think about. We've been friends since our first year in university. I even got Janelle a job with my dad at his company. She's a graphic designer there. I couldn't believe they could both do this, betraying the people who trusted them most. I started regretting ever calling them friends, second-guessing everything I thought I knew about them. Around 3 o'clock a.m., my phone finally buzzed. Greg was responding to my frantic messages. He was just as disgusted as I was, apologizing for Scott's behavior, saying he couldn't believe they were doing that right in front of me. I responded, "Could you imagine if I wasn't there? Why would they be so brazen with someone who knows their family so well?" His next reply chilled me to the bone. I asked him if I should tell their partners what I saw. And his response, "Number. You should just stay out of it. You don't want to get wrapped up in drama." Just like that. I was floored. What? "I'd want to know if you were cheating on me like that." He actually said, "Ignorance is bliss." My blood ran cold. I ended the conversation, completely unsettled. Ignorance is bliss. WTF does that even mean? The next morning, Greg got home early, exhausted, and crawled into bed. I was furious. I can't even imagine how their partners would feel. I said. He brushed it off. "Yeah. Well, stay out of it. I don't think I can just sit on this. Greg, it's weighing so heavy on me. I really feel like I have to say something." He exploded. "Stop. Stay out of it. It's none of our business." I shot back. "How is it none of my business when they just did that right in front of me?" Then he dropped a bombshell. "Scott's been seeing Janelle for the last 7 months. He asked me if you were cool with it. And I said yes." I was speechless. "So if you say something to their partners, you're going to look like a hypocrite." My jaw hit the floor. WTF would you say something like that and put words in my mouth? Why would you ever think that's okay? He tried to backtrack, saying Scott wasn't happy with his wife. He hated his job, and that I should just let him have this. I was reeling. I didn't even recognize the man in my bed anymore. I looked at him and said, "You may be cool with it, but I am most definitely not cool with this. So if you still want to be cool with me, you need to make this right. You need to tell Scott and Janelle that they need to get their ass together and come clean with everyone. Or decide to leave their spouses if they're so miserable. Like adults." Greg didn't say a word. He just turned over and went back to sleep. I couldn't even eat breakfast. I was too consumed with the fallout of what he had just told me. How could Janelle do this to me? Not that she owed me anything, but I felt like I really went out of my way to help her when she couldn't find a job. I hate pulling the "my dad owns a company" card. But at the time, her husband had been laid off, and I felt obligated to help a friend. Later that day, I texted Janelle, asking if she got home okay. She replied, "Yes. Thank you for such a great night. I hope you had fun." I couldn't hold back anymore. "What was that with Scott?" I asked, waiting for her to say something. Anything. Crickets. About half an hour later, she called me, saying, "Hey, I thought you were cool with all of this. My husband told you." I couldn't believe my ears. "How could you do this to Dylan?" Her husband. She doubled down, saying, "Everyone has their secrets. Stop acting like you don't have any." I was floored. WTF is that supposed to mean? She said, "There's a lot you don't know. If you say anything to Dylan, you're going to open up one ugly can of worms. For real. Mind your own business. I thought you were cool. I thought we were friends. Now I know who my true friends are." Then she hung up on me. I was standing in my kitchen, stunned. Did that really just happen? Also, she has no idea who she's messing with. I had her back when she was at her lowest. She was supposed to be my friend. But if she really wants to go there, I guess we can. I woke Greg up again, asking him WTF she meant by all of that. He got grumpy and angry at me for waking him up. "Why are we even having this conversation right now? I told you to leave it alone. And now you've just pissed her off." He checked his phone and saw that both Scott and Janelle had left him voicemails and texts. "Great." He sighed. "Damn it. Why couldn't you have just left it alone?" I told him, "Because it's the right thing to do. If she's lying to me about this, then what else could you be lying and hiding from me?" He said, "Just leave it to me. I'll give them a call and calm them down." I said, "We shouldn't even be having anything to do with these people." He argued, "These people are our friends." I countered, "How can we associate with people who do this to their loved ones? Who lie to the people who care about them and hide the truth?" He finally relented. "I'll talk to them both and get this all taken care of. Just don't talk to either of them anymore and stay out of it." So, here I am. A jumbled mess of anger, betrayal, and confusion. Am I overreacting? Should I tell their spouses? What should I do? Update 1. Hi. I'm back. Not too long after my first post, I cut ties with both Scott and Janelle, deleting them from all social media. Then, legit a week later, Greg tells me he's going out for beers at the local pub with some buddies to watch the game. I'm like, okay, who's going to be there? We already agreed that he wasn't going to see Scott again. And he says, how am I going to stop seeing him when we have mutual friends that we've grown up with? I snapped. Tell the truth and ditch him like any decent person would. Do the right thing for once. He replied, most of the other guys know. They just don't have an issue with it like you do. Wow. Don't bother coming home tonight. I texted back. He texted me about 2 hours later, apologizing and telling me that he realizes just how bad Scott really is, and he doesn't want something like this getting in the way of our relationship. I see that he's still sharing his location. And it's still at the pub. Sorry. Hun. He said. Then I texted him and told him that he could stay at Scott's. Update 2. I'm back. Greg is still at Scott's. One can see his location. It's still there. It had only been 2 days. But the weird thing was that Greg hasn't tried to reach out to me after that text I sent him. No calls. No apologies. I was so pissed off that I hadn't heard from him, and that he hadn't even attempted to try to fix things, that I ended up texting Janelle's husband, Dylan, and telling him everything. He texted me back right away and said thank you. Sort of validated how I felt about the situation. Then, I found out he was confronting her. And things escalated fast. I got screenshots of him and Scott in a group chat talking explicitly with each other about what they plan on doing to Janelle. I literally dropped my phone. Then she sends me a text and says, "Now I'm spilling his secrets. B. You're so F over." Then he tries calling me. But I'm already on the phone with my mom and dad. And I'm telling them what happened. My dad's like, "I know exactly what to do." So, within the coming weeks, he starts an investigation with Janelle and gets her written up for things that she's been F up at work. Apparently people have been saying that they're having problems with her for quite some time. But he didn't want to say anything to me because he thought we were best friends. So, for quite some time, he's been protecting her at work too. But now I'm like, no, Dad. Kick that bee to the curb. He also gave me the name of a client friend of his who is a lawyer. And we're starting the process up with that now. Dylan sent me a message to apologize that she had to find out this way. I said I'm here for her if she needs anything. Update 3. I had my dad serve Greg divorce papers. And my dad said he tore them apart in front of him. I also changed the locks on the house and changed the passcode to the garage door. Greg tried to come by once and freaked out, calling me after he realized he couldn't get in. My family are totally on my side and not speaking to him anymore. I refuse to let my son think it's okay to lie and cheat. I also heard that he had a big F up at work. And it cost the company a ton of money. So there's that. I checked in to see his location from time to time. Just for curiosity's sake. He's been staying at Scott's. Also, Janelle has been let go from my dad's company. I'm just trying to enjoy life with our little boy. I've gone for full custody and alimony. I've also been brainstorming starting up my own business. I'm just trying to get as much cuddles in with my son as I can and get through all of this. And just do my own thing and hang around people that want to do good. Now on to the next story. She called my wife cheating, but I still gave her a second chance. So I told them the truth. And they kicked her out. One of them was disabled. So they required a little bit more care than the other. But that didn't matter to me. We had our fights and issues over the years. I foolishly believed that our issues were something that could be fixed. I went as far as to suggest counseling. To which my ex-wife agreed. Both people have to be willing to work with a therapist. I was more than willing to work with a therapist. But most of the time she would just let me talk. A few times my ex-wife didn't even show up. So I was left there, alone. Despite this, I wasn't willing to give up. Until I discovered she was cheating on me. And it was like a huge wake-up call. It was a complete accident that I discovered it. She said she was going to hang out with a friend for the day. So I spent the day doing some errands. This included going to the grocery store to grab some things for dinner. When I was there, I ended up bumping into the actual friend she was supposed to be out with. I asked the friend where my wife was. But her friend seemed confused. So right then I knew something was up. Why would she lie about hanging out with a friend that she wasn't hanging out with? It was hard to do the grocery shopping when my mind was focused on where my wife could possibly be. When I got home, I waited for my wife to come home. She came in the door, and I confronted her right away because I couldn't wait to talk about the situation. When I told her I ran into her friend, her face paled. She said she made a mistake. But I didn't buy it. I pushed and pushed. Eventually, my ex-wife told me that she was texting with this guy she met online. This has been going on for nearly the entire time we were married, which devastated me. That night was the first time they met. How romantic. Normally, it wasn't like me to be sarcastic. I used to really check with my wife to make sure she was always alright. I was even willing to go to couples therapy with her. It didn't seem odd to me before. But now I realized how intense it was. Her first reaction was to beg me to give us another try. We were best friends. She couldn't live without me. When I pointed out that the two of us were already seeing a therapist, my wife said she was going to try this time. In an act of desperation, I gave her a second chance. Then, 3 days later, I caught her talking with a guy. She said they were just friends and it was difficult to cut off a friendship. My wife claimed they had to taper off slowly. I told her that under no circumstances would I give her another chance. The moment I said that, it was like a flip switched inside her. My wife told me fine and moved out. She ended up staying with her parents. We rented a house. So at least we didn't have to deal with that. I was grateful she was quick to move out and not put up a fight. Our dogs were confused at first and desperately missed her. I did my best to help them transition to the new environment. They get separation anxiety and react to sudden changes as much as we do. I kept trying to get her to take the rest of her stuff out of the house. I didn't want to look at it anymore. After weeks of badgering her, I got sick of waiting. I packed all of her stuff, put the boxes in the back of my car, and drove over to her parents' house. I have no animosity towards her parents. They always treated me nice. So while they were surprised, her mom said she was sorry for the divorce and said sometimes people just fall out of love. That's what my ex-wife had said was the reason for the divorce. My ex left out the cheating bit. So I felt it was my duty to tell her parents the unabashed truth. They seemed shocked. So I offered to give them evidence that they didn't believe me. No part of me felt bad for telling them the truth. My ex should have been upfront with them. Oh, how wrong I was. I ended up discovering through mutual friends that my former in-laws confronted my ex about what I said. Her parents then told my ex that she had 30 days to find a new place. My former mother-in-law did reach out to me to apologize. I accepted the apology, even though it wasn't their fault. How were they to know what their daughter would do as an adult? I got quite a few angry and explicit texts from my ex after her parents kicked her out. She told me that she could be homeless and shamelessly demanded that I let her stay in our old apartment, at least until she got on her feet. My response was to tell my ex to go stay with her boyfriend. If you cared about her so much, then surely he'd let her stay. Right? Trying to heal from this relationship was by far the most difficult thing I had ever tried to do. I had my family and friends beside me, but they could only do so much because unless you've been through the situation, you just can't fully relate. However, spending time with those who care about me, going to therapy for just myself, and just taking one day out of the week to take a walk or something has proven to help me move on. I still am in the middle of a healing process. As far as I know, my ex moved into her new boyfriend's apartment. But outside of official channels regarding our divorce, we have no reason to talk. Let the app have my ex. He may think he has won the ultimate prize. But this couldn't be further from the truth. My ex is about as far from a prize as you can get. So, after hearing everything, do you think I handled this situation correctly? Was I right to tell Dylan the truth about Janelle and Scott? Did I overreact by cutting off contact with Greg immediately? I'm still grappling with the fallout from all of this, and I genuinely appreciate hearing your perspective. Let me know what you think. Your honest feedback could help me navigate this complicated mess.